They say you don't call on Google Hangouts. You don't breathe in the mic. You don't go respond to those work emails, and you don't mess around with Jim. Do but I beep 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 beep. I don't know why. For some reason, prior to that song, I was like, "Oh, where do I go next chord-wise?" And it was like, "You play this song every time." To the point where I played this at a show last week, and I'm still worrying that I accidentally sang the title of the theme of this show as the chorus at the very end. I'm pretty sure I didn't, but my brain is like, "What if you did?"
Then everyone will be confused, but everyone will think that there was a point to it, which there was.
Absolutely, yeah. That
Yeah.
you don't call
You also-
Google Hangouts.
You also threw me a loop by repeating. So
Yes. Yeah.
also that album on my short list gonna probably appear next season somewhere.
Don't steal my joke.
I make no promises. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Turntable, episode number 19. I want to say this is episode 8 of season 2 or something like that.
Yes, the season 1 had 12, so 12 plus 7 is 19.
So 7.
Yeah, so we're at 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually a lot closer than I was expecting to be, and I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah.
We've got a great collection of albums today, very diverse, to be completely honest with you. Brooklyn, how excited are you to talk about these albums?
I am really excited, pleasantly surprised by all of these. I think there's going to be some interesting discussion in terms of the composition of albums and the decisions made as to time and song, the amount of songs that are in it. Yeah, I'm excited.
There definitely will be discussion, especially about one album. Let's bring on our panelists for today. Mr. Scott Harvey. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm great. I'm glad I got to hear that intro. Rest in peace, Jim Croce. I know
Upper
it's been
Derby
50 years now or something, but still, it makes me sad every time I listen to one of his songs. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be back. I think this is my second time actually making it to the recording, my third time submitting an album. Last time went better than the first time. But I still think I could do even better. So maybe that will be today. Maybe I will continue my upward trajectory.
We'll see. Tell us, what did you bring to the table today?
Yeah, so I brought Fiona Apple's 2020 album, Fetch the Bolt Cutters, 10 out of 10 from Pitchfork. One of the reasons I wanted to bring it. But yeah, we'll get to that at some point.
Interesting. All right. Next to the table, we have one of our favorites, Bill Carriola. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Fucking love animals. How are you?
I too love animals. Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, that's a joke for the people on the call that get it, and everyone at home what the fuck's this dude talking about?
Yeah, we don't want PETA on our backs.
No, it's fine. I really do love animals. I own several. So, yeah.
All right, Bill, what did you bring to the table for us today?
I brought the Bouncing Souls, New Jersey's greatest band, so I don't give a fuck. And it is their 6th album, Anchors Aweigh. So, yeah, that is what I brought today. So, I don't know the Pitchfork rating, but they probably fucking hated it. So.
I've seen worse. And coming back to the turntable for a good friend of mine, good friend of ours, Miss Ray Raddick. Ray, how are you today?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here again.
Yeah, Ray, you brought last time you brought on, I want to say it was
James Taylor.
James Taylor's greatest hits. Yes, absolutely. What did you bring for us today?
I brought Pat Benatar's Crime of Passion.
Yes. As when we were discussing possible albums for you, you recommended that one, and I was like, yes, yes, that one. But
I'm excited
Brooklyn,
to talk about it.
As we should all be. Brooklyn, what did you bring today?
We're exploring more of Canadian music. We're going with Gordie Sampson and his album Sunburn.
All right. And we're going to be starting with my album today. I brought Emotional Orange's debut mixtape, The Juice Volume 1. As you can guess, this is the first in a series of mixtapes for Emotional Oranges, that being Volume 1, Volume 2, The Juice Box, and The Juice Volume 3. I'm kind of always torn between which one I like the most in the series, Volume 1 or Volume 3. So I was having a hard time deciding which one to bring to the table today, and I decided to go with this one, mostly because it's the beginning of the evolution of them as a duo. So Emotional Oranges is a indie R&B pop leaning duo comprised of I'm not going to get the names right, but like Azad Wright and Valley Porter, more known by their stage names of just A and V. I discovered these guys like a few years ago from this particular mixtape and have like seen them live. They're fantastic performers. I absolutely love most of their work when it comes to their mixtapes. Their albums are unfortunately just kind of they're good, but nothing really great. The Juice series is where they really shine, and this album really hit a point with me because the more and more I do this show, the more and more I'm kind of starting to realize that R&B might be my favorite genre, especially when it's done at this level, because some of these songs are just, I think, absolutely incredible. The thing that I think stands out the most about them is the instrumentation and the production, because some of these songs sound absolutely incredible. Like, I love the guitar work on here. The bass lines are just so tight, and they've got like this great pocket to them. And it's all like organic instrumentation with like a few electric elements in there sometimes. But especially the guitar line on Good to Me, like the liquid, just like it's so perfect. And I think that vocally, I think both A and V are really good on this, except you will find later on, if you want to explore the Juice series more, that V becomes a much stronger performer as this series goes on. I think she's still kind of like finding her voice as a performer. You can tell she's a great singer. She was apparently a vocal coach for Adele. So there's obviously vocal talent there. A was like an engineer for Drake. So their chemistry on this album is absolutely incredible. Like, their interplay on these songs are some of the best interplay you will hear in R&B. And then there's Motion, the opening song, which, if I'm remembering what I heard at the concert correctly, that's not V. That's a different artist that he had worked with before he met V. And I wish I remembered her name, because she's also so good on that song. There's a sensuality that's just kind of underlying in it, and it is so good and rich and emotional throughout. It's not a perfect album. There is some questionable lyricism that will pop up from time to time, but otherwise, if you want to get into indie R&B, I think that this is a great place to start. But I want to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. So whoever wants to jump in, go ahead. Not all at once, guys, please.
I guess I can jump in. Yeah. So I had not heard of this group, or I mean, I think maybe I'd heard of them, but I definitely never heard a song before. Didn't even know what the genre was. Didn't know what to expect. Clicked into it. Motion, first song. Enjoyed it a lot. I agree with what you're saying there. Then the rest of the album kicked in, and I kind of feel that everything you say is correct. Like, their vocal performances, technically very impressive. The instrumentation, the production, all of it is extremely clean, tight. Like, it's they have it down. Like, it sounds so polished from start to finish. But I think that's like where the issue with the album was for me, is that it was so polished that it becomes a point where I feel like I'm listening to the same song a little bit a couple of times because it's just so, clean. It's almost like becomes background music at a certain point because I know kind of where the song is going, what to expect. There weren't those moments that jumped out to me where they were really sort of varying up the formula. And I can see maybe how in a live format, maybe they're going to jam a little bit more. Maybe they are going to be a little bit more free form, and that could be more interesting than what they're able to do in the context of an album or a mixtape. And I think the lyricism, as you mentioned, is part of that too, because I thought that there were a lot of just sort of cliche and, just very one-dimensional lyrics, I guess. And we've talked about this on this podcast, other shows, whatever. I'm a lyrics person before anything else. So that's what I always gravitate to. And again, when I'm listening to the album, I want something to jump out and grab me. And oftentimes that can be a lyric, it can be the production, instrumentation, whatever. And it just kind of settled into this nice rhythm where, like, I have it going, I'm listening, I'm, actively engaging with it as much as I can, but it just kind of fades into the background just naturally for me because I almost appreciate those imperfections and those moments of rawness a little bit more than something that is just technically just pristine down to a T. So I liked the album. Again, Motion, I guess, spoiling my hand a little bit, but Motion definitely is the song that stands out to me. Just looking at the track list, like, Motion is the one song that I can hear it in my head. I remember Built That Way, also being a little bit more up tempo. Like, I think that the guitar riff in that song went a little bit harder than in some of the others. But ultimately, this was just kind of a quick in and out for me. Like, it's only 27 minutes long because it's a mixtape, and it was very nice to listen to, and again, very well put together album. But like, I didn't really remember much about it a day afterwards.
So in the Music League, you had submitted a song from Volume 3.
Volume 3, yes.
And I really liked it, to the point where when we listened to these albums, I accidentally listened to Volume 3 instead of Volume 1. I was like, oh shit, I should probably go back and actually listen to it. I'm kind of with Scott on this one. I love the production on it. Like, if you turn off your brain and listen to just the music, I think there are some really good moments. I like the guitar work in Personal. There's a nice like groove in Hold You Back. There's one particular detail that I really like that I'll get into with my favorite song. But then you go through the lyrics, and there's one song that we need, Mr. Producer Man, we need the banner.
All right, it's coming up.
Absolutely. This starts off with that, and it's incredible. It's incredible. But then it's like, Andrew, I love you. You make some really good choices, but this, like, as the album progresses, this gets like high school, like catty sort of lyrics. Like, when we get to like Unless You're Drowning, it gets like really bitter. And then like there's some conflicting ideas from like Good to Me to Built That Way. Because Good to Me, it's like, I could be wrong here, but what I got out of it was like, I'm in an open relationship, deal with it. Or, yeah, I was cheating on you, but I couldn't be bothered to tell you. And then you get to Built That Way, and he's saying like, oh, give it to me straight. Like, I want you to be honest with me, even though like we had this other song that kind of talked about that. I do like the back and forth of the voices. The only thing that I noticed, you said V was the guy and A is the girl?
No, it's flipped.
Sorry. Okay, so I found that almost every time A started and then V came in afterwards, which helped V, because I think V is the better vocalist. But
if you see them in concert, she's easily the better vocalist, the better performer.
I wish they like switched it up at times to kind of mix it up and keep it fresh, because like the way that they arrange the songs, you could almost like predict it after about the third or fourth.
So here's the thing with that, actually. As the Juice series goes on, that kind of does happen. V becomes a much more prominent part of the songs.
Okay, yeah.
Bill, Ray?
Yeah, okay. I weirdly enough, I'm going to echo a lot of what Scott was saying. So spoiler. So a little bit about me. Like the first time I listened to this, I was actually in the car, and I was like driving somewhere, and it was kind of like night. And boy, this is a perfect drive at night, kind of relax like vibe, especially on a nice summer night. I think that kind of helped me appreciate it a little more. Now, where I did run into the issue of like it does sound a little repetitive at times, and I think the thing that helped was the short runtime. Is the fact that like it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think didn't hinder the whole thing for me, and I just flat out just enjoyed it. Like I don't have any particularly like wisdom of it, but like I like what I like, and I like this. So I was like, this is great. I don't think it reinvents the wheel, but I don't think it's trying to do that. And I appreciate albums that are just like this is like face value. This is just a fun time to listen to, especially if you're driving around at night. Like this was perfect. I was just like I completely just able to just enjoy it thoroughly. So
I'll add on to that. Oddly enough, a really good workout album. Was shocked by that. Ray, what are you?
I listen to Rain and Blood.
A little bit of Slayer, a little bit of Emotional Oranges.
Okay, let's get crazy with it. Why not? Who doesn't want to hear South of Heaven while you're doing leg presses?
I was doing that today, actually.
Oh my god.
Ray,
Yeah, it's so funny. So I'm actually, so when I listened to this, I was at the airport, and I'm gonna also end with like positive. I was so surprised, Andrew, that you picked this because this is so out of your wheelhouse. I freaking love this album. And again, maybe it was because I was at an airport and I just needed to kill some time. I think the opening song is their best and their strongest song. It's definitely their bass line is just incredible. So I definitely got I definitely got that she's not a lyricist. However, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're going for. So like after listening to the album, I was like, okay, great. I love this album. I'll probably add a song or two to my favorite favorite tunes, but I don't think they were trying to like move people with their lyrics. And I don't think they were trying to like make a new thing. It sounds like they were just trying to do a nice short eight song album or EP and like put their own spin on things. But I don't think that they were trying to like be as impactful as other people have been. So therefore, I didn't really have that high of standards or like that harsh of notes because I think they just kind of stood in their lane, and what they did was just great music to drive to or to be in an airport or go grocery shopping or working out. Um, I did get from the girl's performance that she's not and she's a little shy, and maybe it's because her lack of lyrics or like I didn't really her vocals stood out to me, but she is no Adele. And through these songs, but I still liked it. I thought this was probably my favorite album of all of them. Um, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. So kudos, Andrew.
Thanks. If you really did enjoy this one, I highly recommend listening to Volume 3 because, as I said, they both got a lot stronger as performers, especially V. And having seen them, as I said, in concert, you see them in concert, and he's really good. She's a star. So if you ever get the chance to see them live, I highly recommend doing it. It's usually very low budget, but it is really, really strong. So does anyone have any final thoughts on this piece before we move on to the next one? Okay. So
we do the
I'm going to
best
start.
worst ranking, right?
What's that?
We do the best worst ranking. Then we do, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start. My score is an 8.6. I think there's a lot of strengths on this. I know Bill
Fucking
hates
numbers.
For anyone who doesn't know, Bill hates the arbitrary system that we have set up, which is why we keep doing it.
Makes my
But
shit
there's
curdle.
there's a lot of strengths on this album. But if you, as I said, if you know the series going forward, they become a lot stronger. My favorite song is actually Personal. Personal is the one where like the melody sticks the most for me. The guitar on that is great. The cymbal, like the hi-hat in that song just sounds so good. And it's probably the best dynamic between the vocalists on that. I will shout out Unless You're Drowning, though. I love the pettiness of that song. The pettiness of that song really speaks to me. My least favorite song is Built That Way. It's between that and Good to Me. I think those are like the two low points on this mixtape because they do sound very similar to each other. But Good to Me at least had that guitar solo, which I really liked. So Built That Way is my least favorite. Let's go to Brooklyn next.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a grumpy person. This is a 6.
Damn.
I think the production is really good, but like when I went through it with a fine comb, I was like, I don't love I didn't really get a sense of an arc, or it's just like of the typical like love at first sight breakup or whatever. I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah, Motion is by far the best song of the bunch. Although I did also really like Personal. But the thing that I wanted to highlight here is I want to say it was a choice. Like I think it was in the chorus when they're doing like the vocal work. Like there's the clear 3 layers. And the choice of like having like the 2 low and the 1 high, I thought was a really good one because I feel like other producers, other artists, when they're making that choice, it's a lot more balanced and it just falls kind of flat. And I like the choice that they made to kind of stand out in that moment. So kudos to them. My least favorite is going to be Unless You're Drowning.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah, it was going to be Built That Way, but Built That Way has a really good like solo in it at least. But yeah, it was just like, man, I get the pettiness, but this is like, because I think it's just because it gets built up over like we don't know how long this like relationship was. So I think if they had spent more time story wise, I don't know. It's just weird focusing on the story when I'm usually like the production guy. Yeah.
Let's go to Scott next.
Least favorite song, I think I'm going to have to go with Someone Else. That was the one where I kind of really started noticing the lyrics don't really break past the surface level, which again, I fully agree with the fact that that's probably what they were going for, and they're just going for a particular type of vibe. It's just not what resonates with me the most. Best song, Motion, for reasons that have been stated. And my score, I'm going to give it a 6.5 just because I do think it is well put together, but I don't see myself going back to it often.
Okay. Ray, let's go to you.
All right. Overall, I give this album an 8 out of 10. Like, I loved it. First song is the best, killer, amazing bass line. The song that I like the least is Someone New. I just thought it was very forgettable. I couldn't sing it back to you after listening to it twice. So.
Okay. Fair. And Bill, close us out.
All right. Just for you, I'll give this a score of 8 point. I don't know, pi. Can you write down the number of pi? Yeah, just for fucking funsies. So,
You're getting 3 digits and you'll like it.
How about this? 8.5 for me.
Okay.
I actually really enjoyed this one. And the sun is set on an alternate universe because I completely agree with Scott for the worst song. I wasn't feeling Someone Else at all. I don't know what it was. Yeah, it didn't hit me at all for whatever reason. It was very forgettable. And to be the antithesis of Brooklyn, Unless You're Drowning is actually my favorite. Had a nice, wow. Yeah. You know what? Call me the king of Petticoat Junction because I like the petty. And yeah, I did say that out loud. I didn't. And you know what? It had a very like New Jack swingish kind of vibe to it. And as a kid of the 90s, please bring more New Jack Swing back, because that was a completely lovely genre, and I'm here for its revival. I will welcome it. I'll be front and center.
All right, Brooklyn. So what does that bring us to overall?
All right, so that gives us a 7.52.
I'll take it.
You are just inside the top 20 for this season. You are just ahead of Maggot Brain.
Wow.
But you are just shy of Begin to Hope, Regina Spektor.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. All right. So with that, we are going to go to Bill next. Bill, please tell us more about Anchors Aweigh by the Bouncing Souls.
Okay, so little known fact about me. I love punk rock. That's just like my favorite genre. And so and this wasn't intentional, but I've noticed my progression on this show has been, I bring an album that's culturally significant, and then I bring one that has sentimental value. And while the last one was the cultural significance, we're going to bring the sentimental value for this one. So Anchors Aweigh is the 6th album by New Jersey's Bouncing Souls. It was, funny enough, almost to the day 22 years ago. So, yeah, I think it was released August 26th. So it was kind of recorded after, I think they were doing like one of the Warped Tours. Before it was like them, Tsunami Bomb, Against Me. They were doing like a lot of traveling. And if you go back before this is right in the middle of a 6 or 7 album run that is just honestly immaculate. From like Maniacal After to the Gold album, there's not a miss. And that is not an easy thing to do. But like every album somehow just gets better. I personally say this is the album that peaked. Because when they went in with this one, a few things were happening. The band was a little tired from the road. This is only the 2nd album they're recording with their new drummer who had just joined. And the albums before this, they were lumped into what is called pogo punk, which is just you bounce around, you just enjoy it, and it's just goofy fun. Like they literally had songs like Shark Attack, which is about like eating all the food in your fridge, or like the Toilet Song, which is about throwing toilets off roofs. And like you get the idea that these guys were not very serious. And when they go in for this one, the bass player, Brian Keelan, was right in the middle of a bad end to an 8-year relationship. And he really kind of influenced a lot of the writing. And boy, does that come through. Because this is definitely their most, I would say, kind of dark and emotional of most of the records. And this would, oddly enough, steer the band's direction for the rest of their career. Where everything was light and fun. You started to kind of hear it on the album before this, How I Spent My Summer Vacation. Like, there was some things in there. This one, it hammers home. So, because also, we're like smack dab in the middle of the war on terror. And the national mood is like very bleak. And that is also in here in one very specific song. So when they went in, they really amped up the musicianship. And they started toying with a lot of different melodies, a lot of different instrumentations. Like they have strings and organs randomly. And goddamn if it all doesn't just work flawlessly for me. I honestly, like when I first got this record, so just a little personal story for me, I was just getting into like recovery of my substance abuse issues. So I was like maybe 3 months. And then this album gets into my hands. And I'm like, oh, new Bouncing Souls record. And boy, did this hit home for me, because a lot of what I was going through is marinated through every inch of this record. The idea of like having to start anew, but that not being a scary thing, and having to say goodbye to a lot of things, but also embracing what's to come. That is just all over this record. Like it really hit home. I wore this album out. I played this CD till it got so scratched I had to buy a new one. So, and I hadn't listened to it in a few years. So I was kind of like happy to go back to it. Now, being older and being a little more critical, I will say it's a little long. It's a little long for me. And I'm not like 1 or 2 songs trimmed off. I honestly think this is like a flawless record. but as it stands, it's damn near perfect for me, especially with the album opener. I mean, it's a gut punch, but while it's a frenetic assault, but at the same time, it's like you just hear it in the lyrics of just like, hey, like everything is chaotic, everything is insane, and like I've completely destroyed my life, but that's great because this is where I can build and kind of go. And that's a great foot to get off of. And then you go right into Kids and Heroes. And if there's one thing that I love about this record that really shines through is like these guys have been what is referred to in their later career as anthemic. Like every song is almost an anthem because you could just chant it. It is catchy and it is memorable. And I think this album absolutely embodies that. We'll get on to, and I could go song by song about what I love about a lot of this, but I'm not gonna because I was told to wrap it up. So
Not literally.
I know, but if you let me go, this will be another 20-minute diatribe. So and when this thing released, universal acclaim from everybody of like, hey, this is what punk rock can actually be. Like, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be the political aspect to it, but it could also be like about the human condition and about like complex emotions and like how to articulate that. And I personally, I was very happy to have something like that. So, yeah. Anyway, I will let you guys discuss this.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought this was good. I agree with you in some ways that it is a little bit long, but I'll get into that more. For a punk album, this is kind of doing some different things. From the get go, I really like the play in tempo and how it kind of builds up to that, because I feel like there are a lot of punk albums in particular that just kind of go like guns a-blazing from the moment. So I appreciated that moment. Kids and Heroes, you get key changes, and key changes almost never happen in punk. So kudos to them for doing that. I think the second half of this is incredible. From it's like, I want to say like Inside Out to about like Anchors Aweigh. That's a really good run of songs. Only thing that I might switch, and like we don't talk about like track arrangement a ton. I would probably switch. Where is it? Night Train and Better Days, because I feel like Night Train kind of fits that first half, and then Better Days really kind of fits along with like Todd's song Blind Date, Highway Kings, and whatnot. And also the closer. I saw the runtime because this was like the last album that I listened to for the show. I was making supper, and then I was like, "Oh, 9-minute track, interesting." And it was like dead silent for 5 minutes, and it was like,
yeah. Then
the
fall song is the hidden track
the bonus
in there.
Yeah, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't remember hearing like a bonus track on Spotify." I feel like any other time that like an album got on there, Spotify was like, "Ha, here's a bonus track, and we're just gonna like make it its own thing." So yeah, but yeah, like this is a solid time.
Yeah, Bill, I couldn't agree more with you about a lot of what you said. The runtime was my biggest flaw with this, but I think it's only because there's so many songs. Like a lot of these songs are not that long. They're like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. It's just like when you stockpile them, it does kind of drag a little bit. Other than that, this album is incredible. I've always heard like this, and I think it's like Hopeless Romantic as being like the two albums that I normally hear associated with this band.
Yep. And that's like right in the middle of that run. Like, yeah, this is that like Hopeless Romantic is 2 albums before. And to hear that to this, it's like, how is this the same band in a lot of ways? Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are some moments, as Brooklyn said, like the time signature changes, and you can tell that these guys know music and that they understand music. It's not like just a bunch of guys just like, you know, playing power chords. It's they understand how to actually like build really, you know, really thoughtful, detailed music. It's just that they happen to play like skate punk. I love. The thing that actually really impressed me the most about this album was the production.
Yeah.
Like, aside from maybe sometimes the vocals being a little bit too far back in the mix, the production sounded immaculate. Like I could hear every instrument distinctly, yet at the exact same time. It was almost as if I was listening to them live. Like nothing got hidden. Like the drums weren't overpowering the bass line or the guitar or vice versa and stuff like that. Like I was thoroughly impressed with how well this was produced. And then the emotional weight of the lyrics, like, yeah, dude, they hit. Like there were some moments where like I literally could feel like that lump in my throat. I loved the drowning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially when you get to like Todd's song, which is
That was the moment that really started.
Yeah. So that is about the bassist from the Pie Tasters, who sadly passed away in like 2001 in his sleep of some kind of heart failure from the life that he lived, and it was a blow to like a lot of the scene and especially to that band. But like, yeah, like they were very close because they were from Maryland and the Bounce Souls from New Jersey, so they played a ton of shows because a lot of ska and punk, there was just a lot of overlap, and that's a huge loss, honestly. Yeah. And yeah, they really, and that's like one of the only times I could think of where I'm like, somebody decided adding violins to a punk song was a good idea, and it actually was, because it really complements it so well. Yeah.
No, great album, Bill. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can go. Yeah, of course, I never heard of this band, but with Bill choosing, I expected that it was going to be a punk album. The 47 minutes before I started listening to anything did throw me off, because I was like,
I thought these guys were supposed to be fucking quick.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, and then you tune into the first song. I'm like, okay, so we're getting 17 songs of this, but then you don't. And that's what I liked about the album the most, is that you do have the variation, and actually, yes, there is a hookiness to a good like hardcore punk song that's just in your face. Like if it's a good song, it can be like hooky, but I think that there's some more conventional hooks and catchiness on some of these songs. I mean, immediately you go into Kids and Heroes, as you mentioned. That's probably one of the most commercial songs on the album, and I really appreciated that. And then it's like they sequence the album really well, I think, to where just when you might be starting to get a little fatigued of some of the the in your face, really fast paced type stuff, then they sort of strip it back a little bit, and you get something like Todd's song or I Get Lost. These are some of the songs that are just a little bit more mellow. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're mellow overall, but compared to the rest of the album, they sound more like Todd's song in particular reminded me of like a Jimmy Eat World song, which I really appreciated, because that's a band that I like a lot. And yeah, I think the lyrics, you mentioned the era. I think that even if I didn't know when this album came out, I think it could have been easy to place it there, just because it's not speaking, politically as much to the time period, but the emotions, right? And sort of, as you say, the hopelessness, the feeling of getting out of somewhere. There's a lot of references to like getting out of a small town or something like that, which again, that's just kind of, you expect that a little bit with punk music, but yeah, it's a despairing album at times. But it still has that nostalgic feel to it when you're listening to it, that I think is where you get that hope that Bill is talking about also simultaneously with the album. So I enjoyed it. Again, there's a few songs like Kids and Heroes, Todd's song I mentioned, Night Train. These are like the ones that stick the most with me, because I like that they got a little bit outside of the formula, but even in the the context of just your straightforward punk songs, like what you would expect just starting to listen to a punk album, then they clearly know what they're doing, and the music resonates, I think. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad you chose it.
Ray, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about this one.
Yeah, so this one was a little intense for me. I mean, as a performer, I heard the emotion, I heard what he was going through, and I felt it, and so I really appreciated that as a fellow performer. So and again, I feel like all of you touched upon everything I was gonna say, but I'll just highlight the things that I was thinking of when I was listening to this whole album. Um, I really appreciated and I noticed and I acknowledged the order of the songs as well, especially like as a performer who has to put together set lists. I thought their song choice and the order and the way that they took you on the journey from the beginning to the end was really well thought out. And I really appreciate them for that. I actually did not like the tempo changes. I'm all for a breakdown and for a halftime at the end of a song, but I really didn't like how they would start the song with like one tempo and then 15 seconds later they would switch. It almost felt like a bait and switch to me. It almost jarred me where it was like I was getting familiar with this and then you just switched it up and now I have to like change lanes a little bit. So I actually didn't like that. I don't mind a tempo change later after the song is established, but they did that a couple times. Um, and I will say there are a few, I think, Bill, I think you said this earlier when you first were talking about it, how there were a couple songs that could have been just like crossed off just to make it a little more condensed. I did notice, I can't remember off the top of my head because I didn't write it down, but I remember like in a few instances, there were like two songs back to back where they just sounded similar. Like they had the same tempo, they had the same key, or like they were either like a key, like a half step in between. And I was like, one of these songs could go. Like, I feel like I just heard this in the song before. Um, but I really appreciated it. I thought they came in hard. I thought they came in strong. I agree with you, Andrew, that you can tell these are smart musicians who know their theory. Um, and I did, yeah. That's all of my notes.
All right. Any last thoughts before we pass it on to Bill to start with the scores and all that jazz? All right, Bill, give us your score, your favorite and your least favorite song on this album.
All right. It's going to be a 9.5 for me, mostly for sentimental reasons. Like I said before, finding this album when I did and how I did, they were already one of my favorite bands. I think this album kind of just solidifies that for me. And it's amazing how nostalgic I can be now listening to it. But I do admit that there are moments here and there where I'm like, he probably could have wrapped this one up a little bit. I don't know if Simple Man needed to be like 4.5 minutes, but it's a good song, but we could wrap it up, B. That having been said, the best song by far is Night Train. That is like one of my favorite songs from them. It is so beautiful. It just really, really encapsulates all the best of this band. Of like taking an idea of like, hey, I am moving on because I have to, not because like it was bad, but like I need to go find something. Like I'm taking everything with me that I've experienced, but I appreciate everything that's happened, but like I got to go live a life now, and like it's going to be elsewhere. And yeah, I really adore it. It's one of my all-time favorite songs. It's definitely by far the best song on this record. My least favorite, oddly enough, we're gonna go back to it. It's Born Free. And I think so because I own the record. I know in the liner notes, this song was very inspired by the movie Bowling for Columbine. And while I appreciate what they're trying to say and do, I don't think they're the band to do it. They're not a very political band. I appreciate what they're trying to say. I just think it kind of doesn't work for me. But other than that, yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm just like, it's a little cringy now. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at with Anchors Aweigh. So.
All right, let's go to Scott next.
All right, I give it a 7.8 overall. Enjoyed the listen. We'll probably go back to a few of these tracks for sure. Least favorite song, I'm just going to go with the closer with I'm From There, just because I think adding in the hidden track, I don't know, it just feels like they're just noodling around a little bit and they didn't know how to end the album exactly. So I'll go with that. Favorite song, Todd's song. As I mentioned, I think, it reminds me of like Jimmy World, Social Distortion, bands like that. A little bit more conventional than, conventionally listenable, I guess, than the average punk song. And I think that the subject matter of it, which Bill talked about, it I appreciate the band had like the foresight to say, all right, let's, step back just a little bit here and kind of just slightly slow it down a little bit so we can really give the subject matter of this song its due. So I appreciate that.
Ray, let's go to you next.
Overall, I give this a 7 out of 10. My favorite song was Todd's song as well. And my least favorite song was Better Days.
Okay. So, Bill, I know how much you hate our arbitrary point system here.
I mean, I gave it a 0.5 just to appease the pricks.
So, out of respect, I'm giving this a solid 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll take it.
I really love this album a lot. I will agree, Born Free is my least favorite song on this album.
But it's got such a great closing bit. Like it's just so, but yeah. Overall, I'm like,
honestly, I'm From There was one of my favorite album songs on this track. It was actually probably like in my top 3. That and Night Train, but my favorite song was New Day. New Day was the one that really started to resonate with me, and that was the moment I kind of realized how good of an album that this was probably going to be. And Brooklyn, you can close us out.
Yeah. So this started as a 7, and then Bill got all sentimental and personal, and I was like, God damn it, I really like the story of this now. So it got up a half point, 7.5. My favorite, I was kind of alluding to it earlier, it is Better Days. I am a massive sucker for any time where songs do like a gypsy-esque sort of style tempo, like that strum or whatever. It's literally like a carrot on a stick, and I want to chase it. I really like the call and answer of it as well. There's some really cool line choices there. My least favorite, I'm gonna agree with Bill, is Born Free. That's where I noticed the length of the album, and that's where I'm like, the first half is like a little bit of a grind, but then once you get to Inside Out, then it's like, all right, cool, we're in a good stretch here.
All right, well, that does bring sorry,
score.
Overall score.
I need to do math here quick first. 9.5 plus 7.5.
So as he's doing that real quick, had anyone even heard of the Bouncing Souls before? I know that I have.
No.
Okay, being from Philadelphia.
Jersey royalty, people. Jersey
royalty. Yeah.
All right, this gets an 8.16, which puts it in...
So not as good as the album I bought previous, but still pretty good.
You're in top 15. You were just in front of Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void, but just behind Camille Saint-Saëns' Carnival of the Animals, the orchestra piece.
Sure.
Classical music.
I'm sorry, but that's just hilarious that we have Saint-Saëns' The Carnival of the Animals randomly in here with the Bouncing Souls.
Thank Kelly for that.
Is 24-hour Revenge Therapy, is that still in the top 10? I remember that got pretty good. I'm curious now.
Oh God, I go back there. 24-hour Revenge Therapy. Yeah, it's still top 5.
I'll fucking take it. Yeah. I mean, that is an immaculate album. It's perfect. So I feel pretty good. 2 in the top 20. I'm doing okay. Still pissed about Zen Arcade, but whatever.
All right, well, Brooklyn, you are next. Let's go talk about Sunburn by Gordie Sampson.
Okay, so as soon as we found out that Ray was going to be on the show, I wanted to talk about this person. This guy is from Cape Breton, and he is kind of he's been like a ghostwriter in country for a little bit. He co-wrote Jesus Take the Wheel. And
no fucking way.
And he's also
so many things make sense now.
He's written for Keith Urban, Faith Hill, Leanne Rimes, Blake Shelton, Miranda Lambert, Rascal Flatts, and he's from Cape Breton, which brings us to a topic that I'm just introducing now called Canadian Geography Lessons with Brooklyn that absolutely nobody asked for. So we've talked about Box of the Horse. They're from PEI. Talked about Matt Anderson a couple shows ago. They're from New Brunswick.
I wish I had music for this.
Gordie Sampson is from Cape Breton, which is
from where?
Gordie Sampson he's from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Cape Breton is like the northern island.
No, I thought you said New Brunswick because that's where the Bouncing Souls are from. That was
no. So there's a province here called New Brunswick. It's our neighboring one. Anyways, the Cape Breton is the North Island of Nova Scotia. It's basically like if you want to go to Newfoundland, but you can't afford to go to Newfoundland, you go there because it's kind of like the little brother there. Musically, it's one of the most fascinating areas. Because when you think of like Céilís and like Irish and Celtic music, that's kind of like the hot spot for it. If you don't know what a Céilí is, it's basically like this big sort of like kitchen party where there's like tons of fiddles and guitars and everybody's dancing and it's like a rip roaring time. If you want to hear good Céilí music, listen to like the Rankin Family, or you want to listen to, I think like Rita McNeil, Ashley McIsaac is another one, or Rita McNeil. Just that it's very like jigs and reels, sort of and whatnot. The other person that he has written for that I thought was fascinating. He's written for Caitlin Smith in particular on the Starfire album that Andrew brought a little bit ago. This is not good then. He wrote If I Didn't Love You. He wrote Cheap Date, East Side Restaurant.
He wrote Cheap Date and East Side Restaurant?
This Town Is Killing Me. Yeah.
I'm glad it's not just me then, but
I don't like where this is going at all. Where I had learned from Gordie, where I heard from Gordie Sampson, my dad saw him at a venue called Trailside, which is like this small, like 50-person spot, like 5 minutes away from where I grew up. And there was one song in particular. It was the title track from this album, and it was like cool. And then kind of forgot about him for a little while. And then like in the last year or so, he just kind of popped up. It popped up in my head when I was like, oh, like what kind of songs do I want to introduce to my son? And this was one of them. And I was like, cool. I want to go through this album. I really liked it, but I seem to be the only one that did like it. If I had to guess, I think there's a real frailness to his voice, and you get to like that opening, like Sunburn as well. It starts off with him with like the demo tape. I like the chorus in it. Like You Could Be My Great Regret, though I guess it hasn't hit me yet. And like that, just like the slow drag of a last cigarette. I always kind of got me. The bridge in that is incredible. Fly on the Wall has this really cool like theremin kind of usage as he walks down the chorus. Hanging by a Wire has some really good like delayed synth, and it mixes like folk and alt rock. There's a trumpet. We get Paris, which is this really nice ballad. It reminded me a lot of like Randy Newman.
That's exactly the person I thought of.
Yeah. Then you get like Don't Make Me Do This, which I really like. It's like dreamy. It's got a nice bass line. Cloud Gazing is a standard like pretty guitar song. Kind of has some similar ideas to Sunburn. All I Know is like kind of almost stereotypical 2000s with like the beat in it and whatnot. The second half, or like the last quarter, is kind of just fair. And I understand like where the critique is there. Your Place in This World is an incredible closer. It's just a nice feel good one. It reminds you of Blue Rodeo, another great Canadian band. But yeah, as we were kind of going through the show, and I was thinking, what could they pick on? And I was like, they could definitely pick on his voice, because his voice is definitely a little frail, crackly, whatnot. But yeah, should I stretch? Should I get into the fetal position? I feel like I'm gonna get murdered.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Okay, I gotta.
Please go.
I gotta. Look, Brooklyn.
No.
Hold on. Before you start, Brooklyn, out of everybody on this panel, knowing Bill, knowing this music that we have all brought and talked about with him, did you think he was going to like it?
Oh, I didn't think Bill was. I brought this on. I brought this on for you and Ray. Scott was a bonus, and I was like, all right, well, Bill's kind of that's all right. Let's bring this back down to earth.
Okay, Bill, go ahead.
Look, you know I love you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know I respect you as a person, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing here?
Really? Okay.
Okay.
57 minutes.
Let's talk about the length on this one. Okay. Fun fact: yesterday, me and fiance Knowles, we went to an oddities convention. Where she got to go to a bug pinning class, and we looked at weird shit as you do. And like she's a little overheated, so I'm driving home, and then I'm like, I got to re-listen to this one again because I got to give it one more try. And I put it on 10 minutes into the drive. She's like, what the fuck are you listening to? And I'm like, it's the album I got to listen to tomorrow. She's like, I don't mind it, but you don't listen to this. I'm like, no, I do not. To be clear, if out of nowhere you had a bad day started playing on this record, it wouldn't have seemed out of place to me.
It's impossible not to think of that song when you're listening to this.
I
Having
did,
been
I did
said,
say Daniel Powder when I sent Bill a message of like.
I was going to say the same thing. There's another joke. There is
American
another
Idol
joke I
montage
will
music.
make, but I will make it for when we get to best and least. That having been said, to take my own personal feelings out of it, I can appreciate the craft that is happening. These are very catchy. These are very good, even if they're not my sensibility. There's moments in here that it does work overall. I will say the opening track, I actually really appreciated the lyrics there. The idea of like, you're the lesson I never learned, you're my sunburn. And I'm like, oh, I get that concept. That's a fucking great way to like illustrate that. And there are moments of that throughout the album. So while it is not for me, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm nostalgic for donkey riding.
So let me clarify for people just listening for the first time. The first episode of this series, Brooklyn brought on an album by Great Big Sea. The one song that everyone got so confuddled by was a song called Donkey Riding.
Donkey
literally about
riding. I played that for Missy too, and she's like,
it's not even it's not even a sexual metaphor or anything like that. It's
she's like, wait, what is happening here? Like, what is going on? But anyway,
once again, that's a song that we learned in school.
Fucking, you know what? I'm going to quote Cody. Canada needs to be studied because it is fascinating.
but the thing is, like, this album is not like this is American music sounded like this at the time too. Unfortunately,
I'm going to bring that up. Yeah,
it literally, like, if you're familiar with the concept of adult contemporary radio, this is.
I was going to make it. This is definitely played on Delilah.
Adult contemporary radio album, and I'm not even as opposed to that genre of music as like Bill would be. But this just was rough to get through. 57 minutes, and his voice is definitely a problem for me because, yeah, he sounds like other people. He sounds like the guy who sings "You Had a Bad Day." Yeah,
the person I kept
Uncle Cracker. He sounds like Uncle Cracker.
Oh my god!
That's
yes,
that's a little rough.
Oh my god! Yes,
he does. I'm sorry, he does, but
not the person I was going to connect him to.
It's just like when his voice would go into the upper register, I was just like, I am one of the whitest people that you could possibly imagine, and I was still like, this is too white. Look at your back.
I mean, dude, my hot sauce is mayonnaise, but like, I get it.
And so, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brooklyn. Like, it's nothing against you. Obviously, I have liked what you have brought in the past, and I will like what you bring in the future. And I appreciate you saying, hey, let's take a shot, show you this Canadian artist who has probably written some good songs. Like, again, you're mentioning a lot of...
Having heard some of the ones that he brought up, absolutely he has.
But yeah, maybe this is a case
where... He needs to keep some of that shit for himself.
You don't step in front of the mic because, I couldn't really listen to the lyrics just because his voice was hard to listen to. There's like a couple songs at the end where he's almost rapping. And I was like, oh boy. Production choices are not super interesting, except like in a couple songs. I forget what song it is, maybe Cloud Gazing, that has like some crazy percussion like in the beginning. And like it might have worked, but again, his voice just doesn't mesh with that kind of sound. So I just was kind of expecting there to be a cover of Wonderwall in here somewhere, honestly, because I think that
the
I
body's
think
not even cold yet.
I think he sounds just like a, again, your average coffee house artist who would have been on adult contemporary radio in the 2000s.
Fun fact: this guy is still touring. He played a show here about like an hour and a half away. Like earlier.
I thought you were going to say an hour and a half ago. I would believe it.
Ray, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
I want you to go next. I'm having fun listening to all these people.
Okay. So here's Brooklyn. Let me start off by saying this, because this album was what, 2003?
Yeah, 2003, 2004.
Okay, so you mentioned two of my favorite songs on that Caitlin Smith album. So unless she had like complete control and he had like a line here and there that he threw on, if he helped write those songs, he's obviously gotten so much better as a songwriter. So kudos to him for that. Now, I messaged you a while ago saying I'm very conflicted about one of these albums.
It's this one.
Yes. Because here's my thing. There's a lot I respect. I respect his willingness and his want to kind of play around with his sound. I really respect the fact that he does have some hooks that are really catchy. He's like really good at that. I actually don't think that he's that bad of a singer. I actually kind of really like his vocals. There are moments where he goes outside of his range, and it's not work.
It's not that he's technically like a bad singer. It's just the particular quality to his voice. Like again, that evokes all
it's
these
the
other
same
artists.
thing as like it's the same thing as like Gord Downey, because like Gord Downey is a beloved vocalist here in Canada. But when I brought him to this panel, everyone else was like, he doesn't have a great voice, and it's kind of the same thing. And like I understand.
My biggest problem with this album, though, are some of the lyrics and easily the production. So there are some, like, first of all, I don't care how it's said or who says it. The line, "Don't make me do this," always makes me cringe. Like, there's something about that line, whether it's just like said in general or sung, that immediately just evokes like a visceral reaction from me. So that's not his fault, kind of, but like he still wrote that line. "Fly on the Wall" is a little creepy. It's a little creepy. "I want to be a fly on the wall and watch you breathe" is a little...
Okay, I want to clap back on that for a second, because do you think that like Something by the Beatles is creepy? Something in the way
Not
she
at all.
moves.
Whereas with that is explaining explaining that there's something intangible. He's trying to figure out what it is. Being like, "Yo, I just want to look at you as you sleep at night," is a little creepy.
Okay.
So the first half of this album is not produced that badly. The second half of this album doesn't sound great, especially when they put effects on his voice, because that's when it gets real bad. Like, I don't remember what the song is, but at one point, like, there's like slight auto-tune and it sounds like a fax machine. And it's not like they're trying to enhance the vocals. It's literally...
Yeah, no, he sounded like he was underwater on that one.
No, the one after that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know exactly what one you're talking about. We'll talk about that later. So like the four people... I contacted Bill a few days ago, just kind of warning him what kind of album this was. And the four people I mentioned were John Mayer, Daniel Powter, Randy Newman, and Gavin DeGraw. I also
Randy
thought-
Newman is so insulted right now by what you said about him.
I will also throw on Eagle Eye Cherry.
I mean, even John Mayer is like a very talented musician. Like,
well, here's the thing. I think this album came out the same year as Room for Squares did.
Yeah.
So I will also give him this. He was somehow ahead of his time at the right time, but also somehow behind the times. And that's why I was so conflicted about this album more than anything. It's got good elements, and he's clearly gotten a lot better as a writer. So kudos on that. And I'm glad to see that, because I don't want to see people fail. I want to see people succeed, which it sounds like he has. So Ray, what are your thoughts on this album?
Okay, so here's a name that no one has mentioned yet, but as soon as he started singing, I was like, oh, this is a carbon copy of what's that guy? Ezra.
George Ezra?
Yeah.
George Ezra, yes. Maman's in Budapest, yeah.
Yeah.
So he has the same timbre as him. So that's what kind of that's who spoke to me in terms of the timbre of his voice. Andrew, I completely agree with you. I think it sounds like two separate albums where like the first half is okay, and then the second half, when they start messing with effects and condensers, it just like totally takes you out. I felt like the whole time I was really rooting for him, but like it just didn't stick with me as a country songwriter. And I think what was really clear to me is this guy's definitely a poet. Like, to write a song about being a fly on the wall, that's out of the box thinking. I'll take those lyrics over the AV girl, right? So I thought like he's very good when it comes to approaching a song in a lyrical way. So I thought that really stood out to him as an artist, is he knows how to think outside the box and write like that. So I think he does deserve credit there. He's definitely not a singer. But also, I would like to tell you, Andrew, just because his name is on a song doesn't mean he actually wrote like
Well,
it,
yeah.
unless it's only his song. So like he could also have just come up with like a chord progression for that girl, and he wrote
Exactly.
everything else. So like we don't have to
That's
give him
why
like
I'm
all.
being hesitant about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say just wait till you see the writing credits, because there could have also been like four other writers in the room. But yeah, I guess my point is I really wanted to like him, and I could not get it. And I don't know if it really was the fact that he sounded just like George Ezra to me, or the fact of like his songs were kind of catchy, but like I just couldn't get with it. So yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. It felt like when you're taking a spin class and you just keep climbing uphill, 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 and you're like, I just need a break.
I do that with. I get that feeling because that's how I felt with the treadmill. Always have it at 12 on the incline level, guys. It helps with your calves. All right. So, any final thoughts on this album before we move on? Because my last thought
We've
is
buried him enough.
I respect what he was trying to do. I just don't think it was executed the way that it could have been. All right. So, Brooklyn, this is your baby.
Yeah.
Give us your score and your favorite and least favorite.
Yeah. So this is going to be very high, I think, for the rating. It's an 8.5. I think why I'm so like sad is because when for the month of the listening to this, if we were doing bedtime and my son was having issues going to sleep, I would throw on this album, and it had 100% success rate. We usually fell asleep by about "Don't Make Me Do This," so I think that makes sense. Where it was like, "Hey, I need to go like check out the second half," and it was like, "Okay, second half isn't really as good." I'm going to give this an 8.5 because of how strong that first half is. Sunburn is going to be the one that I immediately go back to. That's the one I played probably 4 or 5 times on its own. But in terms of saying a favorite song, I am going to say Paris. I really like the production. I think he pairs well with the strings and like this very theatrical sort of arrangement. My least favorite is probably gonna be actually the next one after it is To See All. Um,
Wow.
I think it's like it's like really overstimulating. It's like too big brained of an idea. There's like too much going on, and I feel like he's trying to be really smart. Um, but but yeah, um, let's hope it does better than Gravity.
All right, I'll go next.
Gravity.
Not that. No more
Throwback
John Mayer.
to 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
So I'll go next. I'm giving it. Man, do I want to bump this up just like a little bit because I do respect.
I have my finger on a certain button that I'm predicting.
I respect this album more than I like it, so it's getting a positive score. But not that much. I'm giving it a 5.8. As I said, there's a lot that I like about it, but it just did not come together cohesively, especially the second half of the album. I'm going to start with my least favorite song. My least favorite song was Save the Day because the production on that one sucks. That's the one where he sounds like he's underwater. And once again, respect what you're trying to do here, but it did not sound good at all. But I agree. Sunburn. Sunburn is a really good song. I genuinely like that one a lot. And it's the one that probably, if there's any song that I would listen to outside of the album, it's that one. It's a good song. So let's go to Scott next.
You know, I would feel bad, but the first album I ever brought, the Samia album, got pretty wrecked, and I wasn't even here.
Give it a similar score.
So, 3.5 for me. There's not much redeeming about this album. Look, we have to use the whole scale, okay? It doesn't mean
We do have to use the whole scale.
There's not a whole lot redeeming about this album. I'm actually going to go opposite direction though, because To See All, I'm going to say was default best track because the production was actually a little bit interesting on that one. I was able to just kind of try to listen to that other than his voice. And then, yeah, Save the Day is the one, Andrew, where he's underwater.
Yeah.
That was bad. Again, I'm like, oh, okay, he's trying something different. And then after like 10 seconds, I was like, oh, he's trying something different.
All right, let's go to Bill next.
I'm not going to be as mean. I mean, I will, but I am actually going to give this a 6 because this is objectively better than the Bare Naked Ladies, which I gave a 5 to. So, while this is not my cup of tea, I appreciate what is happening here, and I know there is talent, even though this is not my genre. And even Missy, who I was with, she's like, this isn't bad, you know, and she's like my normie, like barometer. So, yeah, while this is not my kind of thing, I do appreciate like how well some of these songs are made. That having been said, finding out the best one I actually really liked was All I Know. I actually found that one kind of like stuck with me, and I kind of caught it. Now we're going to the worst one because we really need to get into this, dude. Because that Fly on the Wall song creeped me the hell out. Something fierce, and like I'm like, does this dude have a pillow in his house made of his ex-girlfriend's hair? Because that's the vibe I'm getting right now. And I even said, Miss, do me a favor. While we're eating dinner, I'm like, listen to this. Here's the lyrics. And I just watch her face go. And then, God, I love this woman. I can't wait to marry her. She goes, is this a song from Edward's point of view in Twilight? And then I was like, oh, God, I fell out of my chair. Because he's like, that's what Edward does. He watches her while he sleeps, and I'm like, whoa! I feel like if this song came out today, there would be a national conversation. I love you, Brooklyn. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
All right, Ray, close us out.
I gave it a 6 out of 10. You know, I mean, like, he is talented. He has been in the industry for a while. That's apparent. It just wasn't, again, like Andrew said, just say like all the components when it comes to like vocals, lyrics, production, you know, everything. It just didn't really fit cohesively. So 6 out of 10 for me. My favorite song was "You Somebody Like," and the one that the one that I didn't like was what is it? "Save the Day" because of the condenser that they used on his vocals.
Yeah. Well, Brooklyn, look. Last episode, your album made the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So,
So I guess it's
begin
a
with the gang.
what a swing. 5.96. Not the worst album. But it's Gravity is the only one that is worse.
Oh,
Wow. Is that dead last?
Yeah.
What is Gravity?
Well, for this
Our
season,
Lady
it's
Peace.
Our Lady Peace, like
Okay.
like Canadian 2000s.
They're the ones that did the Chris Benoit theme song.
I think so. Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Gravity.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
All right. So, Ray, we're gonna go to you next. Crimes of Passion. Pat
Cool.
Benatar. Tell us about
All
it.
right. All I do is perform hit songs. So the one song that no matter where I am, no matter what state, no matter what like where I'm at, this song, "Hit Me With Your Best Shot," always bangs. It's such a banger. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to contribute to this conversation, I just wanted to learn a little bit more about Pat Benatar because she's such an icon in the 80s world. And you know, she came from a classical background, and obviously she's like such a rock singer with her grit. And her and Neil Girardo, the guitarist, they got together, and they're like creating a lot of great music. So I just wanted to learn a little bit more because I didn't really know about this album. um what is very clear is that this album kind of put her on the spot. So she's from Long Island, and she was making her transfer from musical theater or opera into the rock world, and they
It
just
makes so
couldn't
much
place
sense.
her. Yeah, right? And like you can hear it too because she's such a soprano, but they couldn't place her. They didn't know what to do with her. And so I think she made an album before this, and it just did not go well. And so she fired her guitarist, and she hired Neil Girardo, who helped create this album. And it's so apparent in every single song that like he like basically steals a show besides her as well. And I think it really highlights. I know it has a lot of great reviews on Google and stuff and Billboard, but it definitely was an album that put her on the map in terms of musicianship, in terms of a vocal performer, a vocal powerhouse. Of course, one of the greatest staple rock songs of the 80s. I mean, "Hit Me With Your Best Shot." Everybody knows it. Um, I'm trying to think. That's really all I have to contribute. I want to hear what everybody else thinks.
Okay. I'm going to go first. So, last episode, we talked about Sports by Huey Lewis in the News.
Sports go
And-
sports. Wait, who brought sports?
And it made the
Okay.
Hall of Fame. It made the Hall of Fame where everyone picked it as their favorite album.
Greatest plot twist. The Turntable.
Amazing.
What the
and
fuck am I doing?
And I had said on that episode that I kind of miss albums like that where it's like 30 to 40 minutes and it's just really good fun. It's like breezy to listen to. Instead of now where we will release double albums that are like an hour, 40 minutes long, just so we can get Spotify like streams and clog the Billboard charts. Morgan Wallen. And this kind of falls into that same category. It was so easy to listen to, but in a way that was still like really engaging. Because it's like 37 minutes. Like this was the perfect driving album. Like I listened to this album on the way to work, And I think I parked and Out of Touch started playing. So and so, honestly, like, this album kept growing on me. I listened to it 3 times for this episode, and every time it just kind of got better and better. There's one song on here, actually 2 songs on here, that my jaw hit the fucking floor. Hell is for Children, which was such a dark listen that I was impressed with how well it worked. But I was like, oh my God. Because like, I shouldn't be that surprised considering songs like Hit Me With Your Best Shot. But it goes to another level about like a very serious subject, child abuse, and does it in such a way that is still really good, but like it doesn't feel like it's being manipulated. And then Wuthering Heights started playing, and I almost swerved my car off the road. I was like, is she covering Kate Bush right now? And I'll tell you, I sent that to our mutual friend Kelly Meehan because she is a huge Kate Bush fan. And I was like, and I told her, I was like, you're never going to believe who I found like a cover of this. And she didn't love it as much. I really dug it because Pat does make it her own song. I do like the Kate Bush version a little bit better. But as I said, Pat's not doing a Kate Bush cover of this song. Pat Benatar is doing a Pat Benatar version of this song. And it works really, really well, in my opinion. So there's a lot of great stuff on here. Treat Me Right has always been one of my favorite Pat Benatar songs, and I don't think that it gets the love and attention that it kind of deserves when you compare it to songs like Hit Me With Your Best Shot or Love Is a Battlefield. But yeah, no, she sounds like an ensemble member of a musical walked into the wrong recording studio where the singer that day just didn't show up, and they were like, here, you sing this, and it's just worked out magically. So yeah, I really dug this album a lot.
Or Bill or Scott, do you guys want to go?
Sure, I'll go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, of course, I know Pat Benatar. I know this is like her most iconic album, probably. Never listened to it before, only had heard a couple of songs. Also had no idea that she had a cover of Wuthering Heights. You know, the original, I think, is just kind of untouchable, but it was definitely better than I was expecting that it was going to be. But I was interested to listen to this because, you know, only sort of know some of her bigger songs, and it's definitely an enjoyable album. I see why it has classic status, especially at the era. I think it was just starting out to be the time period where people were like, women can rock, you know? And I think that because of that, like, if there's a critique I have, it's like the album can feel a little bit one note at times, because I think she's just trying to prove like, this is me. I'm going all out, right? Like, I can rock. She has that great voice, and it's like, yeah, you can, you know, you never get tired of listening to that voice necessarily. But I think there's almost power in restraint, obviously, sometimes. And I think that the song I'm Gonna Follow You was kind of an amazing moment in the album for me, where we did see that restraint, where it has this very sort of like, I mean, you know, you hear the title and it has like this sort of spooky vibe in the verses with the guitar riff that was going on there, and her voice is sounding like very sort of haunting in the beginning, and then it like builds up a little bit and gets to that chorus where she really just kind of lets loose for about 20-25 seconds. And I was like, that I feel like was like, you know, I appreciated the way that they sort of, that she sort of like you know, built up the volcano and then, you know, unleashed her voice just in the chorus of that song. So I really enjoyed that moment. But I mean, yeah, like, you know, the way the album starts out with 2, you know, just sort of bangers and Treat Me Right and You Better Run, and then you get Hit Me With Your Best Shot not long after that. It has a lot of momentum. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I really liked it. I will say that Hell Is for Children is an interesting song. The subject matter obviously comes through clear in the verses. I just think that the line "Hell is for children" as the hook, it confuses me a little bit, because I'm not exactly sure what she's trying to get at by saying that. It's obvious that the song is very well intentioned and it's raising awareness about this sort of thing. But that specific line, "Hell is for children," I'm like, I get, like, yes, it grabs your attention and it makes you think. But then when I think about it, I'm like, what is she actually trying to say here? And I'm not sure that I fully understand.
I think that it's a way of saying that children also go through hell. Hell isn't just for adults. Hell is also for children in that regard. I think that's what the intent was.
It's just I think she could have worded it a little bit better, I guess is all I'm going to say.
But it doesn't punch you in the face the same way that Hell is for children does.
Do your job. But it's just like the meaning gets a little muddled, I think. But it's a strong album. Like, again, I get why this sort of catapulted her into stardom. She obviously is a star. She has that voice. And there's some really high highs on this album.
All right, Bill.
This was a delight to go back to. I haven't heard this album in many a year. I'm gonna just to tie it in real quick. I went recently to the movies to see The Naked Gun, the new one, and which, spoiler alert, I fucking loved it because it's just and I was talking with friends at work, and they're like, "How is it?" I'm like, "Oh my god, it's great, it's funny, and it's 87 minutes." And they went, "What?" And I'm like, "I know, right? Let's bring that back. 90-minute movies. Remember when you could get to the fucking point and just be done with it? I don't have to sit through 3 hours of Ethan Hunt fighting AI. What?"
Hey now, I was with you.
I enjoyed it, but I was like, let's wrap this up.
Don't bring me into the end.
Shit to do. So hearing this, I was like, oh, I've heard this since I was like probably a kid. And like I threw it on while I was grocery shopping, and then I was sad because I was like, I'm done grocery shopping now. In 37 minutes, I got all my stuff. I was like, oh, that's over. Oh, I was actually really enjoying that. It's just fun. This is good stuff. You know, I think it was like that. And then like having her, and I'm going to forget like a bunch of other stuff, but like bands like the Plasmatics or the Runaways, and then Pat Benatar and other bands like that, like really illustrated to me how like women can kick a lot of ass in any music genre. And it really shines through here. This is just a fun, good time. So I also was very surprised that somebody decided Kate Bush was something you want to cover. Kudos for her on that one. And,
way ahead of the curve there.
Woo boy. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that was interesting. So overall, this was just a good old fun time. And like, let's bring this back. Let's bring back like, you know, albums that just don't overstay their welcome. Like 50-minute punk albums that somebody else put on, but it's fine. But it was still good. But yeah, so being like my favorite album of all time is 20 minutes long. So I am here for this. But yeah, no, this is definitely where she's like coming to her own, and like everything is firing and it's all great. I mean, like, come on. Like, how many of these songs do you hear to this day that are still heavy rotation and have not worn out their welcome? And that is not an easy thing to do. So yeah, I appreciate the craftsmanship. And I appreciate Pat Benatar. This was a great time.
All right, Brooklyn, you wanted to go last.
Yeah. Oh, no reason. I just wanted to let Scott and Bill.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good.
I love this. I had a blast with this. This was really fun. The initial thing that I got on the first listen, I was very surprised that she took that hard of a lean into prog rock. Because when you think of like "Hit Me With Your Best Shot," it's a pretty straightforward like rock and roll riff, and like I think what I love about "Hit Me With Your Best Shot" in particular is you can tell that the song was written off of that initial riff, and I feel like they kind of just built off of that, and I really dig that. I also have a very funny story with that song. That somebody was singing it, and I hit them with my best shot, and they went down in a pile, and it was hilarious. But "Treat Me Right." why I think this song works so well is that triplet rhythm guitar paired with that like cut time, like the 2/4 drum beat. Like Lars Ulrich of Metallica wants to do that every single time because that's like this song is one of the examples of how and why it works. I think it's just a great like way to create space and build within the song. You Better Run had a really nice like bounce to it. Never Want to Leave You. The sense that I got of it, Bill will understand if he's still listening, but I feel like what's now considered like a pop punk pump up beat, like where it's like dun, 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 and then like you hear like that kind of got slowed down, and that was the beat of it. So I enjoyed that. Little Paradise reminded me of Blondie. As well as like the groove in that song reminded me of a particular Canadian band that I gotta bring at some point. April Wine. They were like a 70s rock band from the area that had a surprising amount
I
of
actually know who
radio
that
hits.
is.
Yes. Scott, you were talking about I'm Gonna Follow You. It reminded me a lot of like yacht rock, but in particular like Eagles, like kind of like Eagles, like right before they were about to break up.
Probably why.
Yeah. Prisoner of Love was good. Out of Touch surprised me as a closer when you first initially hear it. I'm like, this is kind of surprising because of like it's kind of keeping the momentum of it all. But then you get to that last 30 seconds, it's like, oh, this is why we're doing it. And then talk about another song because we'll save that for later.
Okay. So any last thoughts on this one before we move on? All right. So Ray, give us your score for this album, your favorite song, and your least favorite song. I have a feeling I know what one of them is going to be.
Well, actually, no. So I give it a 9 out of 10. Love it. My favorite song, besides "Hit Me with Your Best Shot," which is like obviously a banger, I love "Treat Me Right." I think that's such a sleeper that didn't get the recognition that it should have because it's a great song. And I still do. I hate "Hell Is for Children."
Fair. I'll go next. I am giving this a 8.75. Bill, at least it's a quarter. Don't roll your eyes at that one, okay? It's not like it went like 8.793 or something like that.
You still can't.
8.675329. Why don't you just do that? What's stopping you from doing that?
I'm gonna give it an 8.75329. No. Yeah, no, it's just a fun rock album. Really well produced, just like complete, very memorable, but like real quick, gets in and out, doesn't overstay its welcome. I didn't want to pick this as my favorite. I wanted to pick something else, but I'm picking Hit Me With Your Best Shot. There's a reason that it's been held in such high regard and played for years. I wanted to be like that snooty, hipster, like, well, the actual best song's the deep cut of the album, but I couldn't do it. My least favorite song is Out of Touch. I think the fact that that's the closer is what kind of puts it below a 9 for me. Not that it's necessarily bad. It's the kind of one that was just kind of there for me. Didn't really do much. Let's go to Brooklyn next.
This is getting a 9. Again, great time. I gotta preach to the choir on "Treat Me Right." It is my favorite song. The groove of it is just like of anything on the album. It's the thing that I immediately go back to. As much as do I? Yeah, I think it still has to be Hell for Children. Wuthering Heights was good, but I did not get like Andrew. I feel like you kind of hyped it up a lot, and I got to it and I was like, it's good, but it's not like incredible. But yeah, Hell is for Children was the only time because when we were listening to this, we were coming back from my parents picking up my son, and we had paused. We had paused there when we got there, and then when we went back, we went back to it. And my girlfriend who was driving, she's like, "Why are we listening to this again?" And I was like, "We got to finish it." And in my notes, it's the ultimate turn off your brain and jam to it. But now hearing what the song is about, I want to go back to it because one of my favorite songs ever is a song called "Devil in the Midnight Mass" by a punk band called Billy Talent, and it's about the priests and terrible things that they do.
Okay, wait to end that one. Bill,
I gotta follow that.
yeah, you do.
Anyway, yeah,
we have a method.
This is getting 8 for me. This is just I really enjoyed it. This is a fun one. I feel like this is one I could just throw on and have a good time overall. There's very few misses for me. I'm gonna say my least favorite was "Never Want to Leave You." I really didn't feel that one too much. It felt almost disco-y, like it was kind of left over from that kind of era of the time. But you know what? Fuck you all. Hell is for Children is my favorite song. I fucking love that song. That song rips. Also, you gotta hear a metal band cover it. It makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I was
Yeah.
looking for other covers of it.
I'm
Scott,
telling you, yeah. I was like, right, I forgot this song fucking rules.
I'm going to give this the same score that I gave Bouncing Souls so that there can be some suspense about my favorite album of the episode. But 7.8. I think it's very strong. Only a couple of moments where it wanes. I will say Wuthering Heights is my least favorite just because I don't think it was necessary. Like, it's not bad, but it's just I'm always going to listen to the original.
Okay, I think... Sorry.
And
yeah, Ray unfortunately dropped.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
Sorry, I
And,
think my internet just went out.
It's all good.
Best-
She's
Don't
tired
worry
of
about it.
everyone's Wuthering Heights slander. Maybe
Yeah.
knock it off.
Best song for me was "I'm Gonna Follow You." I didn't expect that one at all. I'd never heard it before, and I like instantly saved it. I was like, "Wow, this song is kind of great."
Nice. All right, so Brooklyn, what does that bring the average up to?
8.51, currently in the top 10.
Nice.
Just ahead of 24 Karat Magic, but just behind Wide Awake by Parquet Courts.
Oh,
Oh,
that was
nice.
a Parquet Courts album. Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, Bill, you would love it.
Great song.
Yeah.
Wide
You would
Wide
love
Awake might be one of my favorite wake up songs.
That had to be
All right.
Dylan. That
It
wrote
was
it.
Yeah,
absolutely
We are different. My wake up song is the theme song from Peacemaker.
All right.
I thought you were gonna say the theme to King of the Hill because that was mine for a while.
Oh my god!
I'll
All right,
take
Scott,
us
save
home.
us.
Yeah. Fetch the Bolt Cutters. So obviously, since I have known about music beyond the radio, I've known who Fiona Apple is. Very notable artists. I knew songs and enjoyed certain songs when I was younger. My friend and I always used to laugh about the fact that her 2012 album was called "The Idler Wheel is Wiser Than the Driver of the Screw, and Whipping Cords Will Serve You More Than Ropes Will Ever Do." And what funnily enough, we didn't realize that her 1997 album, "Win the Pawn," has an even longer title because the full title is an entire poem that's 80 words. But anyway, I don't know that I'd ever listened to a full album until this came out in 2020, and there was nothing to do but listen to music in 2020. And Fetch the Bolt Cutters came out. I knew it was significant because Fiona Apple doesn't release that many albums. It's usually 7 or 8 years between each one of her albums, so it's a big deal when she does. And then, like I said at the top of the show, Pitchfork gave it a 10. And if you follow indie music at all like I do, then you probably also have a toxic relationship with Pitchfork where one day they'll be writing a review and you're like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever read in my life. And then the next day another album comes out and you're like, I got to go see what they gave this. You're kind of you got to see but they don't give that many 10s, especially right away to an album. And so I was like, okay, this is a big deal. And I put on the album and I got it right away. First 4 songs, I think especially are that is a legendary run in those first 4 songs right there. I Want You to Love Me, Shamika, Fetch the Bolt Cutters, and Under the Table. The only downside to this album, I think, is that there's probably not another song afterwards that's quite as good as those 4, but I also don't think there's any songs that I don't like on the album. I think, again, I love lyrics. And so Shamika, amazing storytelling song to me. The whole story that she tells there about the girl in her school when she was younger who, sort of spoke to her when she was being bullied and how meaningful that was. If you look into the real story, Shamika is actually a real person, even wrote a response song, is a musician also, and wrote a response song to Fiona's song. Go check it out. She's a rapper. Under the Table, again, another song, like the lyrics are so immersive. Like you can just picture yourself there at this awkward dinner party where Fiona Apple is speaking up and nobody else at the table wants her to be speaking up, but she's like, just decided, fuck it, I'm going for it. And it's kind of creating an awkward vibe, but there's something powerful about her choice too. Amazing song. Ladies is another song later in the album that I think is pretty phenomenal. The subject matter of like, I've been with this guy who's also been with all these other women and is probably going to go on and be with all these other women. But I'm not mad at any of them. I'm not going to resent them. I'm not going to let like the world turn all the women against each other. Like the guy's the one that cheated, right? So we're going to come together in solidarity. I think that's a really cool subject matter for a song. For Her, also an amazing song about sexual assault. Fiona Apple herself was sexually assaulted when she was a teenager, so she's writing from that personal perspective, and the vocal acrobatics that she does on this song are like mesmerizing to listen to. I never get tired of listening to it. And I think overall the album is just very thematically cohesive. Again, sort of about the terrible things that men can do to women, and the need for like the hope for women to come together and to speak up and feel like powerful enough to, speak up about what happens and to not be deterred by, the actions of these cruel men who are elevated to positions that they shouldn't be elevated to. And then there's also the song Cosmonauts in there, which she wrote for the Judd Apatow movie. This is 40, didn't end up in the movie, but it made the album, and it's kind of a love song that just kind of gives you a little bit of a breather from the darkness of the rest of the album. But it's a Fiona Apple album, so it's going to be dark, and her lyrics are amazing, and her vocals, again, they're not as polished as some of these other albums we're talking about, but that's what I love, because you get these crazy moments of rawness in her vocals, like the end of I Want You to Love Me, where she's just like shrieking. And, again, I mentioned For Her, just other songs where you can just tell she is singing with like everything that is in her. I love it. And I love this album.
So I'm gonna try to keep this short. I have a lot of respect for this album and Fiona Apple as a singer-songwriter and just overall musician. This is not a very accessible album. But in terms of its quality, it is high-grade quality. Lyrically, I think that it's very dense, very rich, but very effective. You can tell that she loves people like Nina Simone because the jazz undertones and like keys that kind of get layered throughout this they sound incredible. Yeah, and you can tell that a lot of these lyrics are written about the same person, and they get really effective really fast. So overall, a great album. I've got one song that I didn't love as much as the other ones, where I don't think the vocal acrobatics really worked as well. But incredibly, incredible music, incredible musicianship. Yeah.
Could I? Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you first. No, you first.
We're going to jump into Bill's Wayback Machine real quick. One of my all-time favorite shows I got to go to was in December of 1996. The old indie rock, or basically alt rock station here in Philly was WDRE, and they did a Christmas show, and fucking Fiona Apple killed it. I loved it because it was her. So bad, this is the only time I got to see her live, and because Title was like one of my favorite records when it came out, so I was like super jazzed. It was her. It was Tracy Bonham. It was the fucking Bloodhound Gang. put this whole thing together. The pop punk band Ash, and then the headliner, fucking Weezer. So that was a night. So I've like checked out Fiona Apple's like discography here and there. I had never listened to this album. And as a fucking Tom Waits fan, I am all for Fiona Apple entering her Bone Machine era because I was kind of thrilled with a lot of the experimental percussion that
The
is
drums
all
sound
throughout
incredible.
this album. Yeah, like I think at one point, like I don't know what the fuck something was, but I'm like, but I love the beat that it's making. Now, lyrically, yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in here. My only gripe is I feel like one or two of these songs are a little undercooked, and I feel like that kind of shows through. Where I feel like this album would have been so much better if like it had a producer going, we got to rein some of this in just a little bit. Not much. Like, I don't need to hear your dog bark for 45 seconds to end the song. Like, that is just me. I'm sure it has, and I did read in a little bit of how like she wrote a lot of this in her house, and it is a lot of like her own story and the things she's going through, and like that really bleeds through. And I thoroughly appreciate everything happening, but there are just times where I'm like, you're just missing the mark for me. And I will say there is one song in particular where I'm like, that's not quite your vocal range. And like, it just annoys me a little bit because the beauty of what I love most about Fiona Apple is like, there is so much of a just guttural soul to her voice. Like, it can be so booming and demanding that when she tries to go the opposite direction, sometimes it works, sometimes it just doesn't. And that's just a personal nitpick for me. But overall, fucking Jesus Christ, this was a blast.
Yeah, sure. I really, really, really like this. The first half in particular, I like the concept of like these really kind of like playful sort of rhythms paired with like these like biting lyrics that tell this incredible story. I'm gonna make one last jab at the juice, and I swear this is the last time. But the entire time that I went through this album, I was like, "Hey, Emotional Oranges, this is how you do album arcs in terms of like just writing." And it was
Fucking
really.
strays, jeez.
It's. I warned him. So it's not quite straight.
Next time, just do it. So lead in. It's fine.
No, it's not.
You,
it's
out of
it's
all
not
of us,
fun.
have earned the right to just snipe
Yeah.
our choices.
Don't lean in and whisper to me as you're stabbing me in the back.
But then
Put
you
that
gotta.
in his front with a smile.
But what if I wrote a line? Anyways, yeah, there's some really cool things. Bill was talking about like the rhythms that are really cool. Relay, I really like that one in particular. In the line, it's like evil. It's like evil something passing the torch. And it's- yeah. But a couple of these songs, what they're about, I really like, and I feel like as you get towards the second half, it gets a little more weird and more experimental. Cosmonauts in particular is just like it's the most epic in terms of its production. For her, it probably has the most biting lyrics.
That one in particular is.
I mean, I like that she came out and says it. You know,
me too,
like, she doesn't shy away from saying it.
No, she doesn't.
She's been through it, so.
Yeah, the closer I would say is definitely the most abstract, which like of the ways to end an album, I think is probably the most fascinating. But yeah, I want to save thoughts for favorite and least favorite, because my favorite one, I really like what it's about.
All right, Ray.
All right, I am so sorry, but I do not get this girl. I always get her and Regina Spektor mixed up, and I was really excited to learn more about her because I've never listened to her except for like maybe one of her hit songs. And
Criminal.
yeah, that's the one. And so I don't get her. And you know, the best metaphor I could really say is it was almost like it was like going into a 5-star restaurant and ordering something and knowing that this is a 5-star like 5-star meal and just not liking the meal. So I think it's worth noting she's an incredible songwriter. She's an incredible pianist with her chords. I love the way that she writes her songs, and the way that she approaches it. I think it's just wonderful. I'm not a big fan of her voice. And I appreciate how raw she is. She's incredibly raw. I respect the shit out of this girl. But if you gave me a ticket to her concert for free, I would not go. Um, and I will say I do appreciate how every song sounded different. Um, but yeah, I just don't vibe with her. Mm.
Yes,
I'm
no,
not gonna lie, knowing you for as long as I have, I kind of had a feeling that this was coming. So I was kind of braced for this.
I want to ask one question to Andrew right first before we get into favorite and least favorite. Was there a song off of this album on the top 500? Because when we saw the album
No.
cover, it looked familiar. But but like Fiona Apple did appear on the top 500, right?
I think
I'm not
paper
crazy.
bag.
Yeah.
I think paper bag was on the top 500.
Paper-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both Paper Bag and Criminal.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
Not
Scott.
Shadowboxing? Jesus Christ.
No. I think
Not-
A better
One of
song
us-
than title, honestly. I mean, as far as what was released as singles, but whatever.
I give it a 9.3. I think it's pretty close to perfect. Again, I understand why Pitchfork right off the rip was like, yeah, we're giving this a perfect score. Newspaper will probably be my least favorite song. Not that I think it's bad. It's just kind of in the middle of the album, and it just the subject matter doesn't hit as hard as some of the other songs. So again, I like it. I like every song on this album.
Okay.
So Andrew, your faces.
Well,
Favorite song is Shamika. Again, I love a good storytelling song, and I feel like I was right there. And I think that's just such a cool thing to write a song about, like this very seminal, like seemingly mundane moment from like childhood, where this random person just said one thing to you, but that like ends up being a monumental thing in your life and like influencing you to go on and do what you do. So I thought that it was amazing how she was able to evoke that.
I'm gonna go to Ray next.
Mhm. Love that song Under the Table. She wrote it so well. I did not like Newspaper, and are we doing overall as well?
Yeah, overall.
Yeah.
I give it overall a 7.
Okay. Newspaper was one of my favorite ones, honestly.
It's a good song.
However, it wasn't my overall favorite. My overall favorite was actually Heavy Balloon. That was the one that like I just kept wanting to go back to because I thought it was just so well crafted. My least favorite song was Relay. That's the one I just could not get into it. The chorus itself, I kind of hate those kind of almost cheerleader-esque.
Andrew, you can just admit that you don't like whimsical rhythms.
How fucking dare you? You go next.
Absolutely.
What was your score, Andrew? Did you say?
It's a 9.25.
Son of a bitch, you stole my score. I'm also
Well,
giving
goes to
this.
serve you right. So
Well, I'm also giving this a 9.25. I also liked. Sorry, as I scroll to my notes here. Where the hell are you? There you are. I also liked Newspaper. I liked Relay. I liked Shamika. But I agree with Andrew. Heavy Balloon is by far my favorite. I like that it's just like about the after effects of abuse and how like feeling and like when you're at the bottom, it feels almost normal, and it's weird to get out of that because you feel like the bottom is what's expected or like what you deserve in a way. So I really appreciated it for that. My least favorite is going to be Fetch the Bolt Cutters for the same reason that Bill did for dog barking. Whenever we listened to it, I was driving with my dog back from the park, and that came on, and he, like, it's the only time I've ever seen him confused, where it's like, I hear dogs barking, but I don't know where it's coming from.
all right, Bill, close us out.
All right. I was kind of between an 8 and a 9, so I'll take a page from you guys. I'll give it an 8.5. So, yeah, I really loved it. I don't think there's many misses in this woman's catalog, but I'm all for it if she wants to go the Tom Waits route and then just start getting and wants to build instruments out of nonsense around her house. I need more musicians like that to take those kinds of risks. So I'm sorry, Bar, you're fucking wrong. I love Relay. That was my favorite. I love that stomping rhythm. Like, it's infectious and it gets to me. The one that bothered me more than anything else, oddly enough, was Ladies. And it was, as I was saying earlier, there's times where I'm like, she's hitting these screeches and I'm like, girl, that's not you.
She's feeling it.
She's feeling it, but this is where a producer would come in and go, maybe we try to keep it in.
Bill's feeling it too, just like burrowed in the back of his eardrum.
So I'm just saying, as far as overall, I'm like, that's the one I can point to where I'm, and also like I just think the beginning it just takes to like ladies.
But
and
there's so many of them.
I know, but it just it drones on kind of repetitively just for my taste. But overall, yeah, this was a joy. So
okay,
Billy, you gave it an 8.25. You said.
I said 8.5. I don't believe in these made up numbers.
Okay.
Halves and holes, bitches. Halves and holes.
So it gets a score of 8.66, which puts is 8.66. You are in the top 10. You're in the same spot. You're in the same spot as Crimes of Passion. You actually just overtake that spot basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, the fact that the two of them are even together in the top 10 that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up real fast because I know Ray has to get going. Favorite overall album that someone else brought? Let's start with Ray.
The one that you did, The Juice.
Nice. I'm gonna go next. As much as I think Fetch the Bolt Cutters is a better album, my favorite album was Anchors Aweigh. Let's go to Scott.
I'm giving it to Pat Benatar, Crimes of Passion. It was a fun one.
Bill.
This is actually hard because I'm between the two. I think I would also give it to The Juice. I enjoyed that a lot. Even though I think Fetch the Bolt Cutters is the better album, I think that was the one I had the most fun listening to, and I could see myself going back to it a bunch. So,
all right. And Brooklyn.
Fetch the Bolt Cutters is the better album, but my favorite one and the one that I want to re-listen to more is Crimes of Passion.
All right. So, thank you all so much for watching. We don't have the full panel for the next episode yet. All I do know is that
okay, I'm in. It's fine.
that actually may work out. I do know that we have Zach Ford, and we're going to have Dan Baxter back on from B-Sides Live. So watch out for that. We'll get a new person, probably Bill.
Okay, why not?
Why not?
You're going to ask me anyway.
Yeah, at some point. Ray, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you have a very busy schedule, so whenever you agree to do this, it is very much appreciated. Also, thanks to Scott and Bill for joining us today. Brooklyn, any final thoughts before we head out?
You know what I want to say, but I'll wait till the end.
Okay,
this is the end. Say it.
Well, drive safely.
Drive safely.
Keep on rocking.